So let's start the session. So firstly, welcome each and everyone, and good afternoon, dear students and everyone. This side Alina Hassan, your host. So I would like to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of skillZmap. During this particular session, we will be taking you through the skillZmap mission, capabilities, and overview on the IT SVF process and the methodology in the form of Q&A session. So that will be totally interruptive or very uh, eager eagerly waiting. I hope you are all waiting for the particular session. And in this particular session, how we as skills map will help you to achieve the expertise in the svf it domain. And firstly, we have to understand that what is the requirement this particular session. So you might have know that why all graduates are struggling with the employment, right? So despite having academic qualification, many students and graduates are facing challenges in securing their ideal jobs due to poor communication skills and lack of confidence, we can say, and insufficient guidance. So this particular session is totally depending on that. And I can say skills map is here to bring these gap or fill these gaps and enhance your employability with comprehensive support. Okay, so what we'll be doing here, so we'll try to help you in career mapping and job assistance and career counseling and soft skills training. So that's all from my end. Although let SkillsMap guide you towards a success career with the right mix of skills, confidence, and industry insights. Okay, so just to inform you that all the participant will be on mute during the entire session. However, chat box is open for all, so keep asking your questions in the chat box, and we shall answer the questions in a Q&A session that will be held at the end of the session. Okay, so stay tuned with us and make sure that grab all the informations. So before we begin, let us have a quick glance on what IT services is. Okay, so now since we have focused, this talk show is how the landscape of CSV is going to change with the never-ending technology adaptations. And as a part of Industry 4.0, let us have a look on what Industry 4.0 is and which are the technologies that we are dealing with here. Okay, so firstly, we'll go with the overview. Okay, uh, what is CSV? Computerized System Validation, CSV. So, system validation is the process of ensuring the computerized system used in regulated industries such as pharmaceutical and biotechnology, which is consistently produce accurate and reliable result. Okay, this involves a series of documented activities that is demonstrate a systematic or system compliances which regulatory requirement ensure data integrity, security, and CSV for maintaining the quality and safety of products and for meeting regulatory standards by authorities like DFA and EMA, right? Secondly, if we talk about which technologies are associated with the Industry 4.0, so let's talk about that. So, secondly, Industry 4.0 refers to fourth industrial revolutions. What is it? Characterized by the integration of digital technologies into manufacturing, production, and related process. This transformation advanced technologies such as IoT, that is Internet of Things, and in blockchain, cloud computing to create smart and interconnected and automated system that enhance efficiency. Secondly, with that said, let me introduce you to our guest. I would start by giving you a song lady is doing and sitting over here. So I've been helping students and professionals like you from a very inner and giving the students and professionals a career guidance and career counseling according to the around more than 6 years now. And I have been helping I have helped around 5,000 students to choose their career path in the right direction. And hope to help you in this particular session with your queries throughout the session and stay connected with you after these sessions too. So let's Today we have Mr. Jimit Gandhi and Ajay Kanojia as an expert who will answer all few queries and questions that will be given in advanced level. So I request Mr. Jimit Gandhi to introduce himself first. Hi, Jimit.
S- Hi, Alina. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. This is Jimit Gandhi, and I am currently working as a principal scientist based out of Germany. I have been a validation generalist during my entire career. I started my professional journey being in the IT CSV or the validation domain. I have to KPMG, to Deloitte, to SAP as well, which is a product-based company, and now have transitioned back to consulting firm. So yeah, I'm happy to be over here, and
Hmm.
will be happy to share my
Thank you,
insights
Jimit.
on the current
Now I
topic.
would
Thank
like
you so
to
much.
request Mr. Ajay Kanojia to introduce himself briefly to our audience.
Thank you, Alina, for giving that introduction. I call myself as business transformation leader. I'm also a senior advisor to many companies in the market. I am doing my doctoral research as well as I'm an entrepreneur because I aim to build up a software which helps life sciences and industry for covering some of the issues which they are facing right now. I come from a very regulatory and compliance background. I started my career with regulatory submissions and now into validation space. There were many honest endeavors which I completed. Deloitte, WNS, and Cognizant. I have total around 14 years of experience. Currently, I am working for a consulting firm in India, which is known as QL Consulting. And that's it from my side. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear. Thank you
Thank you
so
for the
much.
introduction, Ajay. With that said, I want to inform the participants that in this particular talk show will be of questions and answer session. So, with our guest, later we shall also highlight how SkillZmap can help you in achieving the expertise in the same. But currently, I would like to go ahead with the participant. I would, matlab we or I can say I want to know you. It's not like the particular session that you are attending and listening to the session. I would like to interact with you all and want to know that what you are doing on the chat box. So kindly fill this particular details so that I can know you better and know your name, what are you currently doing, and what stream you are currently pursuing, and are you willing to pursue or get into a particular domain that you are aspiring. Okay, so what is the particular reason you have joined, and just want to know that what all you are aspiring of. Okay, so start mentioning your questions, and with that, I'm proceeding with the guest. And I think now it is a time to start the session. Since we have a mixed participants profile, which includes students, freshers, experienced candidate, so let me start the Q&A session by asking questions on the basics of IT, and then gradually transitions to the advanced topics and understand the changing CSV landscape with adopting a new technology. So, Jimit, here is the first question for main reason most of the students have joined this particular session. So for the students and participate in that particular call here who are currently pursuing their graduation and post graduation, could you share a brief roadmap on how to get into the IT CSV industry?
Sure. So basically, there are two routes to this. Okay. Before that as well, let's say the folks who are actually pursuing their graduation for IT CSV, right? There is no course as such. However, let's say there are courses which are offered by the pharmaceutical related industry related institutes, right? Let's say NIPER and others. They have got electives which is related to quality management, and basically you can learn the IT CSV
Hmm.
principles from foolproof, full-fledged degree course, which is still available, which is kind of unfortunate. um, so the thing is, when you want to get
Hmm.
into, let's say, an IT CSV industry, there are two ways. You become a part of, let's say, a life sciences company, a pharmaceutical company, or medical device manufacturing
Hmm.
company, or a biotechnology company, and so on, at company, right?
Hmm.
Now, learning the quality skills over here would actually, indirectly help you understand what are the basic
Hmm.
CSV principles that are coming over here, right? Similarly, the path which I actually took up,
Hmm.
I started my journey from the
Hmm.
consulting domain. So you enter into the consulting domain where the exposure of multiple projects and multiple use cases for multiple
Right.
company stage as well. You
Hmm.
directly at an early stage, you are actually
Hmm.
exposed to multiple
Hmm.
use cases over
Hmm.
here, and that help
Hmm.
you develop the once you
Hmm.
get in, you need to know the basics,
Right.
right? And then you can move.
And that's what I was about to come. That what is the compensation ranges that are expected
Hmm.
to the freshers? to enter this particular domain
Yeah,
subjects.
of course.
So can you
So
please brief something?
the exact
Hmm.
salary
Hmm.
range is still a questionable aspect,
Hmm.
right? But the general
Hmm.
trend into either ways, an
Hmm.
industry or let's say a consulting and IT consulting firm, the basic salary in India ranges from around 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs, right, per
Hmm.
annum. Then this range it lies somewhere in between, let's say, 40,000 to $60,000, depending on which
Got it,
region are
got
you
it.
working on and
So
which
getting
company are
into
you
a
working for.
quality role in pharma or medical devices company, you
Yeah.
can get a good start. Alternatively, they can also opt to be a part of consulting firm, whereas they will be exposed to a different projects. On an average, a fresher can get around 3 to 5 lakh. Salary can be high as 40,
Yeah,
$50,000, right?
that's correct.
So this is good to know. And let us move on to the next question right now. So, Ajay, I will request you to answer this particular question. What are the career opportunities in CVS IT industry?
Okay, so am I
Right,
audible?
right,
Uh,
right.
okay, so there are many different roles which
Hmm.
students or professionals take it up nowadays. There are validation analyst, there are business analyst role also with respect to pharma
Hmm.
industries. There is regulatory affairs specialist, compliance officers, validation consultants, project manager as well as
Hmm.
project management office. And
Hmm.
nowadays the complex industry 4.0, the newer systems which are coming up there is a lot of requirement in terms of writing the technical scripts. So those also are required. There are new known as algorithmic testing experts.
Okay.
So the AI which is getting generated and how they are trained, how the AR is getting trained, how the RPA works, so robotic process automation works, so those are coming up. There are specific to data privacy and cybersecurity roles as
Hmm.
well with respect to computer system validation which are coming up. So these are
Hmm.
various different roles which are coming up rather than the
Got it.
traditional way of
And what are the
working.
parameters or the attributes a company are looking for into a candidate desiring to enter into validation domain? Because this is the main thing that students are asking themselves.
Yeah, I understand. There is a vacuum here because there is no specific course as Jimit mentioned. No university teaches you that system validation. Only some universities like companies are giving assistant courses which is with respect to quality management, project management, and those aspects. But they entire relevant experiences. So experience background for computer system validations are many. There are B farms, M farms. There is MSc there is BSc students, there is biotech medical engineering student here. Along with that, you should also have practical knowledge. So once you transition in from your graduation to a very raw when you are, you have to take up different particular computer system validation domain.
Got
You will also have to update the technical skills,
right.
right? I will explain it in the later sessions how different regulatory are there or strategies are there which can be used. There are also soft skills which are required. So the main soft skills
Hmm.
nowadays are teamwork, communication, problem skills, critical thinking. So all these are soft skills which has to be required, and the regular regulatory knowledge in a candidate.
Yes, but the main thing that still comes around that who can become the CVSV expert? I think most of the students are asking the same thing in the chat box also, and many of just give some time to us and let us first complete this particular session. And if any relevant question you want to ask, you can just drop me text. But firstly, Ajay, I want to just ask. I think most of the students are asking the same thing right
See,
now.
the answer is still open-ended. Anyone can, with a combination of some technical knowledge, attention to detail, strong understanding of regulatory standards, these particular aspects, I think I think so they can be reaching to the
Hmm.
expert level. But typically, if I include
Hmm.
individuals with background of computer science, engineering, life sciences, quality assurance, or
Hmm.
QA, or biotech or medical device industries, these are particular pathway
Hmm.
towards the CSV
Got it.
expert. Strong analytical skill, critical
Hmm.
skills are absolutely important.
Hmm.
You should be very organized in terms of documentation. You should be continuously ever changing regulatory landscape which is there. So keep adapting to new technologies and new softwares and new regulatory rules which are coming up, happily accept it and try to find out a solutions towards it. So that way you
Got it.
can
So
become
basically, a
towards a
student
CSV
need
expert.
to update themselves regularly, and that is quite great. And thank you for the insights. I believe this will be definitely helpful for our students and participants who are here and interested to build their career within the IT CSV domain. Moving into the next question for Jimit. Jimit, uh, uh, are there any degree courses offered to IT CSV? And if not, are there any training certificate?
Yeah, we kind of answered this
Right,
question
right,
in the
right.
previous section, but I'll
Hmm,
detail it out, right? Uh, it's a truth that there is no degree course as such.
hmm,
With respect to training and certification, of course, there are
hmm,
legit
hmm,
organizations where
hmm,
which people follow, let's say institutes or organization which actually
hmm,
provides trainings, webinars, reference materials, and also the guidelines, right? The GAM 5 guidelines, the famous GAM5 RAPS for regulatory affairs. There is American Society for Quality ASQ, which actually also provides
hmm,
certifications in the
hmm,
form of
hmm,
CQE. One of the institutes which even people who are experienced enough are looking to get into and
hmm, hmm,
get those certifications within India and also globally. Like apart from these
hmm,
organizations, they are providing these certifications. GMP compliance is one such organization in Europe, which provides an end-to-end kind of a training and live sessions on GMP and other aspects. In India, also there are multiple other sessions. Right, the basic
hmm,
gap which lies in the transition. Like let's say once you have completed the training, how do you
hmm,
actually
hmm,
get into the industry, right? So this is basically filled.
hmm.
Let's say someone like a
Correct, correct.
skillzmap which
Hmm,
actually gives placement assistance or something, right? I believe
hmm,
right now we are
hmm,
still getting there. The number of training and certification providers are increasing.
hmm.
But then yeah, this is kind of a
Hmm.
current landscape that is available
But
with respect to the learning
Jimit,
aspect
this
of
is
these
quite
things.
surprising that there is no degree courses available in such domain, and this is such an exciting domain, and still we are lacking somehow. And however, it is a relief to know that there are certified bodies like ISP, ASQ, along with the other training providers, which also offer certification and training in this particular domain. Stress about upon here is that SkillsMap is also training and certificate providing the certification courses in this particular domain. So this is a big relief for each and every participants. So next, moving on with the next question directed to Ajay, SVS in the earlier sections. However, could you elaborate more on what is IT CSV and what are the IT CSV services?
Yeah, so
Hmm,
IT CSV is basically information technology with respect to
hmm,
computer system validation, and it is widely
hmm,
used in mostly a process where you make your systems which are used to
hmm,
make drugs or which ultimately affects the patient safety. You it's these softwares to some regulatory standards. So if you don't comply to regulatory
hmm,
standards, probably you will not get approvals to do it. And if you come across IT CSV services, so there are many companies, I think so, giving those particular services
hmm,
and those particular documentation, the entire validation activity, intending to, you
hmm,
know, secure your data, giving security, reliability, confidence on your system. And since IT CSVs are guided by some standards, it is offered by ISP. It's a good
hmm,
automated manufacturing practices. There is USFDA strict
hmm,
regulation which is coming up with the 21 CFR Part 11. There is an Extra 11 which is a
hmm,
guidance document. There are the ISO standards which are there. So the CSV services put around, if I consecutively, if you see,
hmm.
they
Right.
move around these
Hmm.
regulatory guidelines. To comply, everyone,
Okay,
these
that
services are offered.
thank you, Ajay, for the great explanation for same. Actually, I want to add to this question that so for the participant, not to make their questions, and we don't want to miss any questions, so kindly do fill that particular sheet, that is a Google sheet, so you can be in the session and fill that particular sheet. Okay, so it will depend on you, and we clearly don't want to miss any kind of questions, so keep asking your questions, and we are just coming on to the next question. So Jimit, the next question for you is what are the critical components of an IT CFC's process?
Mhm. Okay, so I would actually group the components of a process in
Okay.
terms of validation professionals in the industry or the people who are aspiring
Hmm.
to get into the
Hmm.
validation industry, right? Based on their skills, their
Hmm.
experience, their trainings, they form an important
Hmm.
part of IT. Basically, with respect to process, right? So in the earlier
Hmm.
question, I guess,
Right.
Ajay mentioned at a high level what are the
Hmm.
aspects, what are the important process which are involved, or steps which are involved. Whatever is are the activities which are done along with the documentation which
Hmm.
is created, right? This forms the uh, uh, part of the larger process.
Hmm.
And then you have the technology. When it comes to technology, we talk about all the applications, right? Applications which are actually targeting a specific area of the a manufacturing application, an MES, what we say, right? Or let's say a clinical system,
Hmm.
right? And the applications or tools which are used to enhance so these three aspects, right? People, process, and technology, they become the
Hmm.
critical components of IT CSV. I believe, website,
Hmm.
you can,
Hmm.
if you search for the definition of computerized system, you
Hmm.
will get to know what actually comes into it. And we have hardware, software, middleware, and then, and firmware, and form the three major pillars or the critical components of the IT
Okay.
CSV.
Okay. So according to you, people's process and technology from the base of the IT CSV process, of course, with the leverage of the process, right? Okay.
Right.
So moving forward with the next question, Ajay, uh, I hope you are available. So why should you perform CSV? What is the main reason?
See, question is pretty simple in
Hmm.
self-answering.
Hmm.
Performing something is intending something to be doing
Hmm.
something good into the market.
Hmm.
So all those pharmaceutical companies, medical, they
Hmm.
have definitely a reason. Reason is to comply to their systems towards the different regulatory standards. So it ensures compliance towards different decision
Hmm.
levels. To maintain the data integrity, it assures the accuracy, reliability, security of the data. It reduces your risk to getting the system failure. It mitigate those particular periodic reviews of the system, checking your system they are doing fine or not, enhancing the system performance to use them to an optimum level where you effectively and efficiently use your system without any manipulation, without any avoid
Hmm.
legal and financial penalties from the large
Hmm.
regulatory agencies. To avoid this, you have to comply or perform CSV. And finally, the main crux of the entire process,
Got it.
improve
So,
patient
as
safety and
someone not from the domain of IT CSV, I never knew that the impact of IT CSV can literally extend to the midday. So, thank you for this. And before moving out to the next question, I would just want to let you both know that many of the students, like Dhanu and I can say, are about to switch their careers or domain in CSV. I think so they are getting most of the information from this particular session by you. So I'm just requesting you get answers, or currently we are not able to put anything in this particular session, so you can directly just put it in the chat box, and will be definitely for allow unmute option to you, so that you can connect with the speakers and take the help from them. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Jimit. Okay, so could you please provide an overview on the major regulations which required adherence to the computerized system, CSV? That is. Hmm.
So basically, overall GXP quality management process, right? Now, this domain of
Hmm.
GXP quality management is present in
Correct.
every, let's say, life sciences company,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
ITCS. So basically, with most of the
Hmm.
regulations which are applicable to these firms, based on the area of the pharmaceutical value chain that they are focused more on that.
Hmm.
Let's say, you are looking, or your company is someone who is actually, let's say,
Hmm.
creating
Hmm.
or into manufacturing of drugs, then probably, the 21 CFR Part 211, which is basically the
Hmm.
regulation on MES or
Hmm.
GMP, good manufacturing practices. It has a section which also talks about, let's say, good clinical practice, good manufacturing practice, good pharmacovigilance practice, or even
Hmm.
21 CFR Part 820, which is for or actually state what needs to be done in case of
Hmm.
the validation
Hmm.
requirements. But then there are also other regulations. Let's say
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
like 21 CFR Part about how do you actually safeguard your electronic records and electronic
Hmm.
signatures when to a computerized system. So I guess now it is
Hmm.
like when you most what you check is the adherence to the 21 CFR Part 11 or EU
Correct.
Annex 11
Correct. Hmm. Hmm.
requirements, right? And then you move. So I believe more or less
Hmm.
these are the major requirements which are considered. In
Hmm.
the European region, it is EMA. There are also
Hmm.
other country-specific regulations,
Hmm.
let's say, and
Hmm.
visa for Brazil and so on, which are also taking the major
Okay.
regulations which we look at.
And I think no one could ever explain it elaborately, the way you have explained to the students and the participants. So moving towards the next question, validated for now.
So as I told, any
Hmm.
system which
Hmm.
hampering patient safety, as well as separate
Hmm.
into five different
Hmm.
areas. So first are the medical devices. We usually
Hmm.
don't know that
Hmm.
there are diabetes checking and monitoring systems. There are nebulizers which are coming into the market. So before coming into the market, there are a lot of regulation, there are a lot of documentation. So that is why we need to validate the system. This is one type
Hmm.
of system which is validated. Then there are production software, as Jimit previously mentioned. There is MES, there is LES, there is LIMS, Laboratory Information Management. There are ERPs, which Jimit is. So these all systems are systems which are managing the entire production of a company. So those are also required to be validated. Then
Hmm.
comes the quality management software, quality culture in an organization work around. So how to do take
Hmm.
deviations, how to do corrective actions, preventive actions, how to do an audit, what are
Hmm.
the product documentation, training which is required. So these quality management software is also required. Then submit data to regulatory agencies like the pharmacovigilance, the RMS, RIMS, which is Viva's regulatory information
Hmm.
management system. Then there is eBPR, there is pharmacovigilance systems which give data to regulatory agencies to ensure that these data are intact. There is no data integrity within the systems are uh, uh, giving out
Hmm.
the right amount of
Hmm.
data or the believable comes the pharmaceutical areas manufacturing systems
Hmm.
like the grinders, like the coating machines, the laboratory machines, the labeling machine, the supply chain system, equipments. All these come under the purviews of computer system
Got
managers.
it, got it. So basically, any computerized system managing processes that has an impact on patient safety, product validated. So thank you for this. Secondly, I think Yogesh, you were raising your hand. So I'll just request you to drop the particular question on the chat box. Okay, so we'll be taking that particular question is going to be presented in the further session. So I'm just waiting for the questionnaires to end, and then we'll be taking your questions. So next question is for consequences of not validating the system. What can be happen?
Hmm. So,
Hmm.
let's say I start with a scenario over here, right? Let's say has a problem with the heart and is admitted in
Hmm.
the hospital and needs a pacemaker. And if the doctor says, this is a good pacemaker, I cannot guarantee
Hmm.
how is it
Hmm.
manufactured. How would that thinking go for that particular product,
Hmm.
right? Not validating a particular system which is involved. Let's
Hmm.
say I take example of MES, which is a manufacturing system, right? Now, let's say if they are not validating the system, then ultimately it also raises a question on the quality of or the performance of the pacemaker which is manufactured, right? So boils down to the end impact on patient safety, product
Hmm.
quality, and data integrity, right? So the primary impact would be that it would actually hamper your product quality
Hmm.
or raise concerns over it. The other part it might directly impact, right, or any
Hmm.
other drug that you are taking in. If it is not manufactured with a verified and validated process and a system, then that is like a concern,
Hmm.
right? This is one
Hmm.
aspect. The other
Right.
aspect is with respect to the fact which I mentioned earlier about the regulatory authorities, right? Someone like a US
Hmm.
FDA, someone like an EMA, they actually control these companies which are manufacturing
Hmm.
products which impact patient safety, product quality, to check if they are up to the mark with respect to their qualities, are they adhering to the regulations, and so on. Now, they also check whether there are validation records which are present for the
Hmm.
critical systems. Like,
Hmm.
let's say an MES can be a critical system, a pharmacovigilance system is a critical system which is coming over here. So, in this case, in
Hmm.
case if there are any sure that they give proper observations and warning letters to these organizations, the manufacturing firms
Hmm.
or any firm which is targeting a particular area. Not only that, if the corrective action which is mark,
Hmm.
then these authorities also have the right to actually impose penalties or fines on these firms. It can also sometimes lead to imprisonment. It can lead to product recalls, whatever products are there in the market. So it basically actually
Correct.
impacts
Hmm.
the image of the organization. I categorize the
Hmm.
consequences into these.
Hmm.
The primary part is the actual impact on
Hmm.
the patient safety product,
Hmm.
and the secondary is basically the
Hmm.
impact to the firm,
Yes,
right? So
and I think,
that's
of course, we cannot compromise on this, as this indirectly poses a risk of compromises. And the patient safety and product quality is quite important for each and every one of us, not just as a firm, but as a patient. Let me move to the next question directed to Ajay. So, Ajay, what are the steps you need to take to implement a computer validation system program?
Okay, so this is a very big question actually, and to implement. Okay,
Hmm.
so I will try to cover it up in say for
Hmm.
example around 10 points. Okay, so the first step is understanding the regulation. So how and where we are going to comply to which regulatory agencies is very important, so that you define your by a plan. So you have to have a SOP of computer system validation as well as a proper validation master plans for your entire unit or entire company or entire manufacturing, where you fixed one system particular validation plan, that is your which systems are coming up under which purview. So you have different categorization based on the previous 4 and 5. So you define the validation plan according to that. Then you define the scope, testing approach, what resources are which you are going to use, and the timeline to completing these particular systems. Then the fourth aspects come to around the requirement specification. So any system which you are bringing into your ecosystem has to be your requirements. Requirements have different documents like user requirement specification, functional requirement specification, there is design specification. So all these documents come into requirement specification. Then you do a risk assessment. So the fifth very important critical point is doing risk assessment. Risk defines what level of testing or what level of, and if you are smart enough, so you can use critical thinking. So nowadays people are very much pushed towards computer software assurance. So the CSV is changing the guideline into CSA. So this process will be changed to CSA, but CSA comes with a lot of critical thinking. You have to change your one way of doing computer software
And
assurance.
I think
Okay, there are many different.
Bhavik was also asking the same question, that CSV includes CSA or
So
not.
there are two different aspects. It's a
Hmm.
very broad topic to debate right now. But yeah, this is one way of, if you are using one step towards the CSA guidelines which are going to come. Okay. The sixth part, after the testing, you define the level of testing, negative, positive, black box, white box testing you have. So all those two testing and qualification comes. The seventh important thing is documenting.
Hmm.
All this has to be documented very clearly, very transparently, without any data integrity, so that you can uh, reissue these particular documents or re-show mention that these regulatory agencies come for audit on a regular interval. So you have to be very vigilant in terms of having this documentation as ready as. Then the eighth part, which comes of training, which is, we can, the skill map is doing one kind of training of computer system validation. So there are many different trainings. So training is train people on SOPs, validation process, the people who are going to use the users, the IT people who are going to manage the system. So training is very important. The last is important because there all the documents should have a doer checker. So one person drafts it, the other person checks it, reviews it, and confirms it. So review and approval is very important because that is how you authenticate. And step is to maintain these particular documents at a required level of frequency, periodic reviews and revalidation whenever it is required, based on different guidelines. So SW, but uh, the day will not stop if I if
It's
I
yeah,
keep on
right.
saying.
And really very thankful for the pointers and the details explanation about the process, Ajay. And I hope each and now coming towards Jimit. So Jimit, next question is for you. With the advent of the industry 4.0, how is the landscape of CSV changing?
So let me start by saying this, that the
Hmm.
core validation framework, right? The core IT CSV
Hmm.
framework never changes. You were doing, let's say, the out of the process which was mentioned by Ajay, you were actually creating a validation plan, you were creating requirements document, and that will still be done. Right, you will still test the documents and you will still IT validation will not change. But then there are additive processes which are added to, let's say, the entire framework. Right, now these
Hmm.
additives, the one which impacts process changes, let's say where you actually include an additional step in the validation process, where you actually go into white box
mm,
testing. An example of blockchain, right? Now, blockchain is a recent technology. It is basically used in the supply chain aspect, right, to ensure that all the records are.
mm,
Someone tries to validate the entire blockchain application, or let's say even the network, verifying something like a smart contracts under GXP, purview. You actually have to go to the part where you need certain technical knowledge about the blockchain smart contract has been implemented correctly or not, right? So with respect to the process, these are additional aspects which are come up. Let's say if I take example of follow the traditional validation framework, but then how do you actually classify the business processes and mark them whether they're GXP or no, is something which is an additional factor which comes. The other aspect which I wanted to mention was with respect to
mm,
technology. So with the changing CSV landscape, or the, let's say with the advent of Industry 4.0, automation,
mm,
right? So let's say 5 years back, I also was actually working on validation projects where everything was
mm,
paper based,
mm,
right?
mm,
I'm talking about India, but the world,
mm,
Western world has actually. I was working on paper based systems, but then it moved to a digital system. And now we are seeing like an entire validation process, or let's say an entire cloud infrastructure. And at the end, I get let's say a report in the form of
mm,
screenshots, in the form of test cases and expected results written, and saying that okay, your infrastructure is qualified, right?
mm.
So when it comes to changing CSV landscape, we say that we see tweaks going on as and when we start adopting the new
Got it.
technologies.
So the change is important, we can say, and that is a very easy way to understand the changes in the CSV landscape. And with the advent of the technologies associated with the Industry 4.0, so the core validation frameworks to in terms of process and technologies,
Of course.
right? Okay. So moving on to the Ajay's questions again. So can you elaborate on the opportunities that Industry 4.0 presents for CSV?
Okay. I don't know that. Have you planned all these bigger questions to me and not to
No,
Jimit?
that is not totally planned, but
Okay.
I hope you are the best person to ask the
Okay,
question.
so
So I thought to put the question to
opportunities
you.
in opportunities with respect to CSV and Industry 4.0, there are many opportunities. Okay, because this particular domain is changing drastically. As and I was also part of Jimit's team. So at that point of time, yes, we used paper. Today we are using digital softwares to do validation. So I'll tell you different
Mm,
aspects. There is one aspect is enhanced automation. So once your system is enhanced, those automation requires validation. Okay,
mm,
how did you do it? If it is reducing the error, if it is reducing the human error,
mm,
then how the efficiency and accuracy is coming. To validate that, to confirm that, you
mm,
need to monitoring how IoTs are and the sensors which are used in different manufacturing areas, real-time monitoring areas, how efficient they are monitoring the system, how efficient with errors, how vigilant you are to look at this particular errors. This entire process also
mm,
requires computer system validation. Then
mm,
predictive maintenance. So how our IT team is every time on the toes. The example which I can give you, I was working for one of the artificial intelligence company which is known as
yes.
Artelis. They have developed an algorithm which can tell you that, or which can predict
Mm,
diabetic
right.
retinopathy, which is one of the very
Mm,
critical
mm,
diseases arises due to diabetes, 10 to 15 years before, by just
okay.
checking your eyes screenshots.
Mm,
Okay, so the algorithm has been developed so well that you can predict those particular
mm,
things. So how that particular AI has been trained, to training that I mentioned
mm,
at the previous state, algorithm
mm,
experts or algorithm which is coming up in future. So that is one aspect to it.
mm,
There are data analytics. So lot of data is being generated, and we to today I think so we are lucky enough to
correctly.
see all those data very automatically coming towards us. So to analyze these data, which systems you are using, these
Mm,
large volume of data, how to handle it, these particular data is 0.0. And then coming to improved compliance. So if you are claiming that you have improved compliance, that means you are coming up with PLM systems like the product
mm,
lifecycle management system. You are coming up with CAPA, regular audits, automated interval of trainings.
mm,
So all these systems, if you are using it for compliance, so they also has one of the
mm.
opportunities for computer system validation. Then scalability and flexibility. That was
No
another.
worries.
So there is a lot of systems which are coming up in terms of
Mm,
scalability and flexibility. Like I have worked for one of my last companies, which is known as
mm,
QMS system, which is based on Salesforce
mm,
platform. So it is highly scalable, it is highly flexible. So these new systems which are coming up, that is also an opportunity for computer system validations to rely on. You see, every one is talking to each other. All the
Right.
systems are talking to each
Hmm.
other. All the
Hmm.
people are connected to each other. So like that, systems are also connected to each other. Many, very simple device which is there at everybody's home. So Alexa is connected
Hmm.
to your
Hmm.
lights, your fan, your messages, your mobile. There is a shipment which are
Hmm.
connected. So integration testing, or if you become an integration testing expert
Hmm.
in these emerging technologies, that is also a opportunity for computer system validation.
Hmm.
Then collaboration, there are cost reduction, there is the prototypes like the RPA, which is
Hmm.
coming up, robotic process automation. All these enhanced collaboration, cost reduction softwares, these will good for the society. So if you're intending to do something good to the society, you will have to prove through documentation. And
Hmm.
CSV is one of the way of doing it. So there are a lot of opportunities. The list is endless, but
And
these
it
are
seems like
the
these next
important ones.
generational updations, principle, and opportunities are going to be common very soon
Yes,
nowadays,
absolutely.
right? Okay. So moving towards Jimit now. So Jimit, can you please provide examples for successful implementations and recent technologies related to
Sure.
Industry
Guess
4.0 and
I've got a
CXP
longer
knowledge?
question to answer now because there are many use
That's what I
cases
was going
available.
to.
There are multiple use cases
Hmm.
which are present as of now, right? If I start from, let's say, cloud, I guess most of us coming from the industry over here have actually at least
Hmm.
worked or are right. No one would deny that fact. But then I won't get into cloud. But then there, are, like, let's say, if we talk about
Hmm.
the industry 4.0 technologies which are involved into this,
Hmm.
like you mentioned it earlier in the first slide, right? What is
Hmm.
industry 4.0? And you
Right.
mentioned
Hmm.
IoT. When it comes to AI, of course, there are multiple use cases over here.
Hmm.
In fact, ISP has actually, I guess for those who are following ISP, they have also, ISP have now launched many guidelines and paper an AI component and so on. So with AI, I believe the use cases would be, let's say,
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
previous firms, which I was working for, Deloitte, they Converge Health. Now this this was like 5 years back, but
Hmm.
then 4 years back, and then it had an AI component which actually helped in triaging process their categories or the
Got it.
impact
Hmm.
that they have. This was one of the use cases. I know my experience with SAP
Hmm.
earlier. My previous company was SAP, and we were working to actually automate the process of operator assignment, like for a big firm, let's say something like a J&J or a Pfizer or a Merck, the ones who are present at the shop floor. And also not only that, but they also had a component which actually helped in predictive maintenance of the equipments which are present, right? The prominent AI
Hmm.
examples that I remember. When it comes to IoT, again,
Hmm.
I take the same example, and predictive maintenance of the equipments. So Boehringer Ingelheim
Hmm.
is currently live right now working on a project which involves installing these IoT sensors and probably integrating
Hmm.
the entire, let's say, the manufacturing, the predictive maintenance aspect, right? Or how, when and how should a particular equipment or a group of equipment should be clubbed, and how we go ahead with their maintenance aspect. So I read an article where Merck actually is using AR, augmented reality technologies at the shop floor, right?
Hmm.
So that let's say you are
Hmm.
on the weighing balance, you're weighing a salt. The fact glasses actually help in completing that and marking that in the MES
Hmm.
system that someone has actually weighed, let's say, X grams of salt, right? So that is another aspect. There is a big project. Basically, this project is being undertaken by most of the firms in the US, the Pfizer, the Genentechs, and the so on. Not only that, it also
Hmm.
has the retailers, Walmart and Walgreens, which I these all these organizations are together building a blockchain network to actually track. Basically, they're looking at the serialization application of the blockchain over here. So then they can do that on this network, because the data or the information which is present, or the records which are present on a blockchain network, are actually immutable. So these are something like which actually caught my attention. I am really following
Hmm.
it nowadays, so that I
Hmm.
learn more about
Got
the
it.
progress into
And
these
it
use
sounds
cases.
very
Yeah,
interesting now. But I will request each and everyone. Matlab, I have multiple responses over the sheet like Okesh, Sangeeta, Pinky, Dhanush, but many more students are actually. I'll request you to please fill that form again. And moving towards the next question, and that is for Ajay. What are some best practices?
Okay, so best practices, I think so. The number of pharmaceutical companies across the world, everybody has their
Hmm.
own best practices, but I'll try to generalize this particular industries or respective companies. Risk-based approach nowadays, as I told before, that CSV is moving slightly towards the CSA guidelines. So risk, what is more critical, what is more important, and you do the robust testing based on that. So this is one of the best practices which you can implement into your industry. So your risk have any leakages into your system when you are doing validation. And the very good thing to do is nowadays people are accepting vendor documentation. So vendor side also do this again to analyze that the vendor has done in a right amount of optimum level, and you reconfirm doing that, yeah, the scenario was tested in a correct way, and we also will move towards the best practice. Then the change management. Change management is one of the very important aspects for any companies, because nowadays, since the drastic new technologies which are coming up, the new change is not structured. Your best practice is not in place for change management. It will fail. I have seen companies who are just sticking to the your instruments. You don't do calibration, you don't do verification that it is compatible or not, you don't verify the enough memory or not. So all these aspects are very important. If you are having a robust change management, these particular things can be taken care of. Then the third thing is doing gap analysis. Okay? Your ecosystem and just start doing computer system validation or start using it, right? You have to do a gap analysis, and I can very this is a very proud moment for submitting my thesis towards this gap assessment. I am developing a logic based gap assessment software.
That's great.
My thesis is due in September 24. So the logic will tell you that how the gap assessment is based to just give yes no questions. Today there is a lot of dependency of this gap analysis thing on various different consultants, and being a you become biased over the period of time. So we don't want to be biased in this. We have to be very logical. We have to be very straightforward as per the regulatory agency recognize gap assessment into picture. Okay. The fifth important thing I can tell you, the training and competencies. So if you are into your company and if you are training required for that particular person to be eligible to be in your ecosystem. So if your training and competencies practices, best practices are installed in your system or installed. And the last, the documentation practice. Your documentation practice should be governed by SOPs. There has to be standard operating procedures, will tells you what document numbering has to be given, how a document has to be created, which template to be used, which how the document has to be discarded or retired, or all those aspects. Important 5 to 6 important things are the best practices and can be applied to various companies irrespective of pharmaceutical or
Really
medical
very
devices.
thankful for you, and thank you for the elaboration, Ajay. This will definitely gives you a good starting point for those who are already involved in the managing the validation of the new technologies. Moving towards Jimit now, highly advanced technological landscape.
Right. So basically, what you do is, when I already mentioned that, 5 years
Right.
back, I was working on this paper documents, sheets of papers, right? So that is one aspect. You can still manage it. Okay, it is still possible to do it via paper-based system,
Correct.
although there might be many drawbacks, considering the continuous validation, the continuous testing, which these documentation aspects into three parts. The most basic one is the paper-based system. Then we move on to the digital system, right? Now, when you talk about digital, then level A is something where, let's say, you write something in a Word document, you upload it in your software, let's say our document management system, and you get it where the system itself is a content management system. The best example may be some of the Atlassian products over here, Jira and Confluence. So in Confluence, this is an application only, so it's a content management system. So this is like a level of digitalization that I talk about. The ultimate stage of documentation would be like the one which I right. So I am currently working with one of the companies who has a product which automates the entire cloud infrastructure qualification, right? So let's say you fire it. What you need to do is once you have once you have installed it, right, you just run this application and it will start giving you documents every day in the format is given as a as a zip file to you, where right from the qualification plan to the traceability matrix to the test cases to, let's say, the final qualification report is given, right? And at the end it also suggests use for production usage. So if the documentation is at this level where we just have to do the initial configurations, then that is like the ultimate level of documentation that we have. Digital and completely automated
Correct.
documentation. Mhm. Yeah, that's
Okay.
all.
So the validation documentation will be an attribute to an intermix of digitalization and automation in the future. While dealing with the advanced
Right.
technological landscape, I believe this is the last question that I'll be asking you. Okay.
Thank you.
How do regulatory bodies view the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies
Okay,
in
so I
GXP
think so.
environment?
Jimit has already
Hmm.
answered this particular
Hmm.
question, but I'll
Hmm.
still give you a positive aspect to it. So, as Jimit mentioned that ISN for artificial
Hmm.
intelligence softwares, how these particular software has to be validated, what is the process to be used, how an artificial
Hmm.
intelligence has to be trained, and what documentation you require to submit. They are gracefully accepting.
Right.
Okay, new
Hmm.
technologies which are coming. They are very gracefully industry 4.0 whatever is coming towards the regulatory region, they are gracefully accepting it. They are very in environment, but their only condition is how do you maintain
Hmm.
compliance, how do you maintain data integrity, how do you maintain security and maintenance of this particular system. So if you will tell you that we will not accept new technologies which are coming up. So adoption is very positive if you follow their guidelines, if you are able to prove that these particular documentation or results which are processes which we
Hmm.
follow or the documentation which we follow or the risk assessment which we have done, if you are able to prove that particular thing in front of regulatory agencies, so I think so nobody will tell
Right.
you that we will not
Okay.
adopt these
So
particular
thank you for the
systems.
elaboration, Ajay. And this is really insightful. And that brings us to all the end of the current session. And I sincerely, right from the very basic in IT, CSV, to the change in the CSV practices with the involvements of the new technology. So the key particular session. So yes. So what I can share from mine, the future of IT CSV will be the a quick embrace to the automation and digital solution to streamline core validation principle are not expected to change much. But hence the student and the participant who have just entered into the domain of IT CSV must first and then move ahead with the advanced validation topic to the flourish in the IT CSV industry. Secondly, what I can say, the advanced validation principles, principle of the new technology solutions. Right, that are the firm are planning to implement, and also the leading organization like ISPE. And the third point that you can add is, although there are relevant degrees and certification from the institute like Johns Hopkins and organization like ISPE, ASQ, and RAPS, which provides the courses and certification. However, there is not a single institute providing reliance on certification is more. This is where skillzmap is going to be much more impactful, since we are will be showing today's session, so that will help you a lot. So here are some opportunities. Firstly, I'll like to ask one question, that how many students are there in this particular session who are currently studying? So how many students are sitting with us right now? They can just raise their hand. Okay, and I think the professionals has already been updated the sheet, and some of them are already in the sheet and updating that particular sheet. But still, I'm waiting for the remarks, that what is the current reason, or what all questions you are framing with that. What all questions you are need to ask from the guest. Okay, are they there and who are not able to raise their hand because of any reason. So the most important thing student should have in their mind is internship research. Why is it important? Internship is important to apply for internships in pharmaceutical company focusing on CSV quality assurance or regulatory, working with the professors or on research projects related to industry 4.0, AI or data analysis or in pharmaceutical companies. Secondly, certification courses. As you know, we are totally reliable on certification courses. So pursue certification courses like CSV, GMP, and IPE to enhance your knowledge and job prospects. Very ready to switch their stream or the domain. So I think certification will be the core part of this particular process. Secondly, networking. Attend industries event on the field. So that will help you a lot. And mid-level pharmaceutical professionals, if someone is here. So what all main pointers will be there for you? So CSV specialist implemented driving digital transformation in the pharmaceutical manufacturing. Third point will be data analytics and science. Okay, so how you can develop the skill in data analysis and decision making in pharmaceutical companies. The next point will be quality management. So move into the quality management role, overseeing quality assurance, quality control, or regulatory compliances. Secondly, considering the consulting role, helping in pharmaceutical companies implementing CSV Industry 4.0 or quality management system. So that will be a important pointers. Your leadership, be in a leadership position overseas. Terms focus on CSV, quality or industry 4.0 initiative. Okay, and so that will be the. So this is a website. So let's deep dive into a mission. That what is a current mission. So I hope my screen is visible to you. So this is a website. So the main focus of assistance program, because many of you are having quite 6 to 9 plus years of experience, but still they are not truly that is the most important thing, because we can say Jimit and Ajay are over here because of these particular skills and the training that have been into them. But what is the main reason that multiple students are trying to focus on the, so all the things need some kind of guidance, certification, and so for all these things skillsmap will try to help you, right? And these are our contact where or if you want any kind of help from me, you can directly ask me for my number in the chat box. So I'm really very open to share my number. So if any one of you are do let me know. uh, until and unless you are not reason or think that I can help you or Ajay or Jimit can help you. So you can attend multiple sessions, you can join multiple YouTube stories and all, but still you will be needing a certain particular thing. Okay, so this is the main mission that skillsmap is about to lead. So how we can help you? So what we are planning to do, so placement assess and just planning to or providing the betterment of the society. So this is a mission, and these are some particular courses that you can join to enhance your preparation and so and help yourself in getting into these particular corporate industry. Help yourself that you are grabbing the information, you are getting the information from the universities, but what is the main reason you are not able to get that particular position? There are some reasons that your friend who is not really very into the studies or not really very well able to get into that particular position. So the certification and your personality development is, I think, most important thing a professional should be needing. Okay, so now it's time for the question and answers round. So again, okay, so I'm taking some of the questions from the chat box. So it's time to raise your hand if you're facing any kind of trouble in typing these particular questions. So Priyanka, I think you are really very fond of asking something. So I'm allowing you unmute option. So okay, Priyanka, I hope you're in the session right now. Okay. So I got a question from Priyanka. So I'm doing research in quantum matter and also explore machine learning in quantum computing. Can I map my skill in IT industry, Jimit or Ajay? Jimit, I hope
Yeah.
you are available.
Yeah, so I guess you
Hmm.
unmuted the wrong person. It's Pinky over here who had
Hmm.
asked this
Hmm.
question. But anyway, I'll still answer the question
Hmm.
over here.
Hmm.
Basically, have like a basis of
Hmm.
machine learning and quantum
Hmm.
computing, right? So the thing is, I am not sure if there would always be a match between your expectations with respect to
Hmm.
the thought with which you actually entered into research which you actually get in the validation domain, right? Over here, the basic need is you need to know the framework, you need to know the principle of working, and that's it. Then you actually focus on the domain part, right?
Hmm.
So if that is the case, and to a broader extent, of course, the IT industry,
Okay.
right? One thing that I want to tell you
Hmm.
about here is IT CSV is one of those rare domains that I've seen where people from who is currently a director of validation at a pharma company, and he's a BCom
Okay.
graduate, versus someone who is me, who has done
Hmm.
MSc biotechnology and an MBA biotechnology, and then got domain, right? Versus someone who has actually done engineering, let's say a
Hmm.
BTech degree in electronics or even computer science, and has still got into this because there are multiple points of entry. There is
Hmm.
like a amalgamation of technology and domain over here, right? So whichever you learn first, you end up
Okay.
learning the other part and
Uh,
then grow into the validation domain.
okay. I
Hope
think
that answers the
your
question.
question is answered.
Mhm.
Pinaki, can quantum techniques can improve IT industry?
Yeah.
Second question is
Frankly
from
speaking,
Kiran.
Pinky, there is always scope of improvement, right? I am not talking from an IT industry per se, but I'm talking about a subset from an IT CSV. It will grow coming from. I believe the adoption rate in the life sciences industry is much more slower because of the regulations which are involved in this, right? If you compare life sciences with, let's say, a right, the reason of that is basically that we are not although we have started adopting new technologies, we are pretty slow, we are lagging behind. If I was actually working on paper, was actually working on digital process, then you can understand that life sciences industry is lagging behind, right? So of course the answer to your question is yes, that it can improve, the quantum techniques can improve in the overall IT
Okay.
state.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. I think Chiranjeevi was raising his hand. So, yes, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or just drop me a text over here. Secondly, I got a question for CSV and compliances. Execute test script, how to learn write the test script. So, this is the question. Ajay,
Yeah.
I think you
So
are available.
yeah. So the basic knowledge of CSV and compliance, if you are having and you are already executing test scripts and you want to understand that how do you learn to write test scripts. So start writing the test scripts based on some very important critical aspects of the system. So once you know that there are standard test scripts which are already available, you will have to differentiate between the standard test scripts which are already available into the market, or which as like the password testing, the username, user management testing, and privilege matrix testings and audit trails, or all those are standard testings which are required as per regulatory guidelines. But if you move the function of the system first, like say for example an RIMS system, regulatory information management system, which is used to submit the clinical trial document into regulatory agencies, that validation will be very different from a software audit, change control, request, change order. So based on the functionality, you can decide how to write the test
Actually, he
scripts.
wanted to get into IT QA. So, just asking about the scope for
Oh,
the
okay.
same thing.
Okay. So I think so. IT QA is nowadays a merger of quality assurance as well as IT functions. More or less, these are different. Okay. IT and quality assurance joining together is only reason because the IT person is not knowing the criticality of quality assurance and a quality assurance person. So to reduce the gap between these IT and QA, they are merging these particular designation and coming up into this particular market. So basically, any person who is understanding the quality assurance part of the aspect be an IT QA, or you have to come from an IT background like an engineer or something like that, and then you have to understand the assurance part of it, the quality assurance part, how to manage the system, how the system can be competent enough, what is the critical are required to confirm that the patient safety and the drug quality will be intact into the system. So if you consider these both aspects, I think so IT quality is open,
Okay,
having an open heart
great.
to accept.
Can I add
Hmm.
something to
Yes,
this
sure, sure.
actually? Just now talking about the second point which he asked, right? I mean, it is my not a perfect example which actually talks about the scope, right? Is basically right. A validation person will focus on the operational aspects. Okay, he or she will be validating the system, and when the system is released, most of it all into repeat validation and so on. When it comes to ITQA, right? This person can also participate in the validation, but then there is like a slight tweak towards the strategic, the list of SOPs that you have. You are drafting at an organization level. Okay, how many, what is the periodic review duration, what is the periodic review strategy that we are talking about, what is the, right? They have got this slight edge over ITQA, I guess. Many times, like right
Hmm.
now, it's used as a misnomer. Someone who is just like a quality or QA guy will be doing validation, will be for the traditional method perspective. The ITQA guy was actually doing a bit more than what validation guy is currently doing with
Hmm.
respect to the focus, right? That was
No,
the
no, that
only
that's
personal
quite
opinion
a
I wanted to share.
important information that you have shared. The next question is from Chiranjeevi. So according to him, medical industry since 8 years now, but I'm interested to learn CSV. Please do guide me correct roadmap to learn CSV. Please give a suggestion how to learn step by step or order wise.
So
I think
yeah,
so.
Yeah,
Most
sorry.
of these
Ajay.
questions are
Correct.
already
We have all.
answered from start
Hmm,
to end. If
hmm.
you
We're in the
see the
session.
flow of the, yeah,
Hmm,
if you
hmm,
see the flow of the end, the
hmm.
explanation, we have given you different guidelines. We have also told you that what are the critical aspect which you can look into, what are the different roles which you can take up to. So all these are basically roadmaps. You have to decide that what special areas. So say for example, you want to do some critical application into the industry which you want to learn first and then apply it into your pharmaceutical companies, or pharmaceutical company is already having some that interest will be generated to learn CSV also, because it will come with a lot of documentation. And then the roadmaps are pretty clear,
Hmm.
as with our talk shows. We have with different trainers, or you can come to skillzmap to take those particular trainings, and then ultimately try to apply some practical
That is the most
knowledge, try to do
important
some
thing, I think,
internship with the
that
different,
multiple
yeah.
things, the theoretical part has been covered in the whole session, but it is time to upskill. Your guys are having around 6 to 10 years of experience on an average, and still you are asking the basic questions, and I think that is the main reason that guide us. So I think the most important part of this particular session was to upskill yourself, upskill your knowledge, upskill your personality, know who can are if they are available to you, then you should have to join those particular session. And if you have missed any kind of information, or you want to know more about the details that how you can join this particular session, or what on those particular number, or if you want any one of you want my number or anyone's number uh, in this particular session, so you can just drop me a text. Secondly, one Vankita and research and development and have basic knowledge of CSV. I wanted to shift full-time CSV domain. What is the future and scope of CSV, and how to shift from analytical to CSV?
Sure.
Jimit, can
See,
you
if
answer
you're
this
in the
question?
analytical domain,
Hmm.
probably you are much closer to the validation principles which are being used, right? Because I believe you would using the, let's say the them, and you might have actually been a part of, let's say, a testing, a user testing, or any other part over here. If not, at least you would have been working like or been involved in drafting the requirements at the as the end user for that equipment, right? Over here. I would recommend that there are two ways by which you can do that. Okay, one is the horizontal growth. The horizontal growth is basically you shift actually or try to get information from the IT quality or the IT validation folks within your industry and try to get into those, the basics of validation. I guess that is enough for you to enter in the same firm. The vertical development over here would be basically it leverages on the learning some experience, and then you network with people to find new opportunities, and then you actually get a job over here. Basically, there's no one common rule to actually shift from analytical to CSV, but then what I would say is you're much more domain that you have. And yeah, with respect to learning, experience and networking, you can actually move ahead and enter into full-time CSV
Okay, there are
space.
multiple questions. Firstly, thank you for the answer. But there are multiple questions, and you all are asking the same thing, that how you can switch from your multiple questions. And still, if you're facing any kind of issue, you can just drop a particular text or a callback request. Or we have mentioned a sheet, so you can just fill that particular sheet. So we'll be connecting you personally and helping you out in that particular thing. Okay, any other questions from anyone? No, I think
There is one
that's.
particular
Oh.
question which has catched my eyes. No, I'm not sure from which
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
which person has asked it. I think so. Somebody was asking what is the criteria of periodic review of, because currently I am involved in some periodic
Hmm.
review activities with my current assignment. So I can tell you the basic criteria. So the basic criteria is, first you have to answer it. What is periodic review? Why you are doing periodic review? And your systems are into right state of validation, or does it require some kind of validation? And to figure out if there are any changes in the system, to what criticality level in that particular system, are how much critical. Do you have to revalidate your system or not? So this is one of the criteria. Second criteria can be regulatory compliance. Is some regulatory compliance requirements has changed? So there might be changing of which might be coming, masking of some data which might be coming. Like recently we got revised GDPR laws, like your sensitive and non-sensitive data. Your sensitive data should be hidden from the entire system was previous, and then you have to comply to these particular norms. Then your periodic review will tell you that this is a new system which is coming up, or new regulation which is coming up. You will have to comply. That is the reason your there can be system performance, there can be change management which might be coming, there might be security systems or security policies which are upgraded in your own organization. That can be one of the criteria. When performance issue with the system. So these are some of the criteria where you which you can fix for doing your
Okay,
periodic
that's great.
reviews.
One question is also from Bhavik. So, Jimit, I would like to question that particular question to you. Any course are taking right now?
Sure. So currently, if you want to subscribe, right, go on to an online subscription training, there is this ECA Academy, which is based in Europe, which actually gives Viva, right, a company which Ajay mentioned earlier. They also have a subscription-based learning management platform. I saw a few trainings on, cloud validation over there. Individual SMEs in the industry which continuously give live trainings. Like 2 months back, there was a training which was given by Sachin Bhandari on cloud validation. How do you actually validate into a cloud? And it's still recording. I believe I had a chat with the skillZmap team, and I guess they are also planning to create a
Right.
live training over here where someone would be actually delivering this session, so actually be giving these trainings on cloud
Correct,
validation.
correct.
Mhm.
So the courses is about to start, and we'll request each and every one of you to just mention your contacts on courses. And even though we don't want to leave you out of the particular session with any kind of question, so it might be possible you are not really very comfortable asking your questions over here. So what you can do, you can just mention your contact, text over WhatsApp, or contact any one of us if you want, and raise your questions, and then we will be able to help you out with the courses and the missions that we are planning to do, and how. So that will be more most important thing. Secondly, we have mentioned multiple YouTube channels link and Instagram link, Facebook link, so you can join us from there also. You can subscribe our channel. Things you want to add, then you can just scan this particular application's QR code, and download those particular applications. You will be updated with the new courses link and all specific queries or related to anything. So you can just drop us a inquiry mail or something over this email ID. So you can just save this particular uh, or you can take the screenshot if you want. And really very thankful for
Next question. Uh, Dr. Animesh has asked one question related to BTech.
Mm, no, I cannot find that particular thing. Can you help me with that?
Sure.
Yes, I got it. So, Animesh, Dr. Animesh has asked that on behalf of every student, they are doing BTech, biomedical engineering. So, what will be their scope with this question?
Yeah, see, the course itself or the degree itself says as biomedical engineering. So you are going to deal with bio, that is life, along with engineering. Okay, so there is which are biomedically available into the market, which are going to be available into the market. So you will develop some processes, you will develop some systems around that, as well as uh, if there are any software releases or system. So these both aspects will definitely lead you these particular computer system validation
Okay, I
courses.
think the question is answered now. But I'll request each and every one of you, if you are having or if you have missed any of the point, because some of the participants were so we'll be uploading a recorded session or recorded sessions and recordings of upcoming updates. So you can just subscribe our YouTube channel, and if you're not able this particular QR code, I think you can get each and every social media details from here also. Okay, and I'm sharing it in the chat box again, so you can go with that. And again, I'm asking you to for any other thing. Okay, yes, so you can go in the chat box and join those particular links. So yes, that's an end from my end. Thank you, Jimit and Ajay, for those particular most important pointers that student or each and every one of us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having.
Along you unmute option. So okay, Priyanka, I hope you are in the session right now. Okay, so I got a question from Priyanka. So I'm doing research in quantum matter and also explore machine learning in quantum computing. Can I map my skill in IT industry, Jimit or Ajay? Jimit, I hope you are available.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess you unmuted the
Hmm.
wrong person. It's Pinky over here who had asked this question. But anyway, I'll still answer
Hmm.
the question over here. Yeah, of course,
Hmm.
you can map your skills
Hmm.
because you basically have like a basis of machine learning and
Hmm.
quantum computing, right?
Hmm.
So uh, the thing is, I am not sure if there would always be a match between your expectations with respect to the thought with which you actually entered into
Hmm.
research based on these super advanced topics and the aspects which you actually get in the validation domain, right? Over here, the basic need is you need to know the framework, you need to know the principle of working, and that's it. Then you actually focus on the domain part, right? So if that is the case and if that is fine with you, you can
Hmm.
always move into the IT CSV industry, and to a broader extent, of course, the IT industry, right?
Hmm.
One thing that I want to tell you about here is
Hmm.
ITCSV is one of those rare domains that I've seen where people from different educational backgrounds have actually come up. I have a person who is currently a director of validation at a pharma company, and he's a BCom graduate,
Okay.
versus someone who is me, who has done MSc biotechnology and an MBA biotechnology,
Hmm.
and then got into the IT industry, versus someone who is like from a core pharma domain, right? Versus someone who has actually done engineering, let's say a
Hmm.
BTech degree in electronics or even computer science, and has still got into this because they have multiple points of entry. There is like a amalgamation of
Hmm.
technology and domain over here, right? So whichever you learn first, you end up learning the other part and then grow into the validation domain.
Okay.
Hope
Uh,
that answers the question.
okay. I think your question is answered.
Mhm.
Uh, Pinaki, can quantum techniques can improve IT industry? Second question is from her.
Yeah. Frankly speaking, Pinky, there is always scope of improvement, right? I am not talking from an IT industry per se, but I'm talking about a subset from an IT CSV. It will grow, but from a life sciences domain, like the place from I am coming from, I believe the adoption rate in the life sciences industry is much more slower because of the regulations which are involved in this, right? If you compare life sciences with, let's say, a finance domain, or let's say any other domain where the tech adoption is very high, right? The reason of that is basically that we are not, although we have started adopting new technologies, we are pretty slow, we are lagging behind. If I was actually working on paper-based system 5 years back, and 5 years back SBI, our bank, was actually working on digital process, then you can understand that life sciences industry is lagging behind, right? So of course, the answer to your question is yes, that it can improve. The quantum techniques can improve in the overall IT industry, but then it takes time. That's all I wanted to
Okay.
state.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. I think Chiranjeevi was raising his hand. So yes, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or just drop me a text over here. Secondly, I got a question from Okesh. So I have basic knowledge of CSV and compliances, execute test script, how to learn write the test script, Uh, so this is the question. Ajay, I think you are
Yeah.
available.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so the basic knowledge of CSV and compliance, if you are having and you are already executing test scripts and you want to understand that how do you learn to write test scripts. So critical thinking and risk assessment will help you to start writing the test scripts based on some very important critical aspects of the system. So once you know that there are standard test scripts which are already available, you will have to differentiate between the standard test scripts which are already available into the market, or which are standard test scripts which are used across the different softwares, like the password testing, the username, user management testing, and privilege matrix testings and audit trails, or all those are standard testings which are required as per regulatory guidelines. But if you move towards slightly functional, I think so you will have to understand the function of the system first. Like, say for example, an RIMS system, regulatory information management system, which is used to submit the clinical trial documentation to regulatory agencies. That validation will be very different from a software which is, QMS, which manages different modules like kappa, audit, change control, request, change order. So based on the functionality, you can decide how to write the test scripts.
Actually, he wanted to get into IT QA. So just asking about the scope for the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think so. ITQA is nowadays a merger of quality assurance as well as IT functions. More or less, these are different terminologies which are being used into different organizations. Okay. IT and quality assurance joining together is only reason because the IT person is not knowing the criticality of quality assurance, and a quality assurance person is not able to gauge what IT is facing the problem. So to reduce the gap between these IT and QA, they are merging these particular designation and coming up into this particular market. So basically, any person who is, understanding the quality assurance part of the aspects, and he is very good in IT systems, so he can be an IT QA. Or you have to come from an IT background like an engineer or something like that, and then you have to understand the assurance part of it, the quality assurance part, how to manage the system, how the system can be competent enough, how, what is the critical thinking, how a system can be validated, what quality aspects are required to confirm that the patient safety and the drug quality will be intact into the system. So if you consider these both aspects, I think so IT quality is open, having an open arm to accept you.
Okay, great.
Can I add something
Hmm.
to this?
Yes,
Actually,
sure, sure.
just talking about the second point which he asked, right? Uh, I mean, it is my personal opinion, and it might raise some eyebrows over here. But
Hmm.
a perfect example which actually talks about the scope, right, is basically, right, a validation person will focus on the operational aspects. Okay, he or she will be validating the system, and when the system is released, most of his work is done. Right, of course, there will be maintenance phases and upgrades which he'll be involved into, repeat validation, and so on. When it comes to ITQA, right? This person can also participate in the validation, but then there is like a slight tweak towards the strategic part as well, where, let's say, you are drafting the QMS, right? The list of SOPs that you have, you are drafting at an organization level. Okay, how many, what is the periodic review duration? What is the periodic review strategy that we are talking about? What is the overall landscape with respect to CSV applications that we are going to bring in? Right, they have got this slight edge over ITQA, I guess. Many times, like right now, it's used as a misnomer. Someone
Hmm.
who is just like a quality or QA guy will be doing validation, will be doing quality, and so on. But in case, if the orthodox or the traditional method perspective, the ITQA guy was actually doing a bit more than what validation guy is currently doing with respect to the focusing. That was the
Hmm.
only personal opinion I wanted to share.
No, no, that's quite a important information that you have shared. The next question is from Chiranjeevi. So according to him, he is very new in CSV, and I'm working in pharmaceutical industry since 8 years now. But I'm interested to learn CSV. Please do guide me correct roadmap to learn CSV. Please give a suggestion how to learn step by step or order wise. And yeah,
Mhm.
Ajay,
So, yeah,
I think so.
sorry.
Most of these
correct. We
questions
have
are
all.
already answered
Hmm,
from start to end. If
hmm.
you see
We're
the
in the
flow of
session.
it, yeah.
Hmm,
If you see the flow of the entire talk show,
hmm,
I think so. We have laid the foundation, we have
hmm.
laid the explanation, we have given you different guidelines. We have also told you that what are the critical aspect which you can look into, what are the different roles which you can take up to. So all these are basically roadmaps. You have to decide that what specialist today you want to become. Okay, and then start your focus area. So say for example you want to do some critical application into the industry which you want to learn first, and then apply it into your pharmaceutical companies, or your pharmaceutical company is already having some critical application. Try to learn those particular application, and then that interest will be generated to learn CSV also, because it will come with lot of documentation. And then the roadmaps are pretty clear. As with our talk shows, we
Hmm.
have given step by step guidelines. You can anytime take trainings with different trainers, or you can come to skillzmap to take those particular trainings, and then ultimately try to apply some practical knowledge, try to do some
That is the
internship
most
into.
important thing, I
Yeah.
think, that multiple things, the theoretical part has been covered in the whole session, but it is time to upskill yourself right now, because as I already told you, you guys are having around 6 to 10 years of experience on an average, and still you are asking the basic questions. And I think that is the main reason that we are saying that you are not able to get the whole information, because there is no one to guide us. So I think the most important part of this particular session was to upskill yourself, upskill your knowledge, upskill your personality, know who can help you with this. And I think the proper certification courses are, if they are available to you, then you should have to join those particular session. And if you have missed any kind of information, or you want to know more about the details that how you can join this particular session, or what all things will be added in this particular skill map journey, then you can directly connect on those particular number. Or if you want any one of you want my number or anyone's number in this particular session, so you can just drop me a text. Secondly, Vankata, I think she is having 8 years of experience in analytical and research and development, and have basic knowledge of CSV. I wanted to shift full-time CSV domain. What is the future and scope of CSV, and how to shift from analytical to CSV? Jimit, can you answer this question?
Sure. See, if you're in the analytical
Hmm.
domain, probably you are much closer to the validation principles which are being used, right? Because I believe you would be using the, let's say, the equipments and the devices which are present, right? You would be attained to them, and you might have actually been a part of, let's say, a testing, a user testing, or any other part over here. If not, at least you would have been working like, or been involved in drafting the requirements at the as the end user for that equipment, right? You are much closer to the validation domain over here. I would recommend that there are two ways by which you can do that. Okay, one is the horizontal growth. The horizontal growth is basically you shift actually, or try to get information from the IT quality or the IT validation folks within your industry, and try to get into those projects, right? Internally, of course, you need to learn the basics. If you know the basics of validation, I guess that is enough for you to enter in the same firm. The vertical development over here would be like, basically it leverages on the learning experience and networking approach, right? So you learn, you then generate some experience, and then you network with people to find new opportunities, and then you actually get a job over here. Basically, there is no one common rule to actually shift from analytical to CSV. But then what I would say is you are much more closer over here with respect to the domain, the IT CSV domain that you have. And yeah, with respect to learning, experience, and networking, you can actually move ahead and
Hmm.
enter into full-time CSV opportunities.
Okay, there are multiple questions. Firstly, thank you for the answer. But there are multiple questions, and you all are asking the same thing, that how you can switch from your particular domain to CSV. So I think we have already answered multiple questions. And still, if you're facing any kind of issue, you can just drop a particular text or a callback request, or we have mentioned a sheet. So you can just fill that particular sheet. So we'll be connecting you personally and helping you out in that particular thing. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? No, I think
There
that's.
is one particular question which
Hmm,
has catched my eyes.
hmm,
I'm not sure from which where
hmm,
which person has asked it.
hmm,
I think so. Somebody was asking what is the criteria of periodic review of validated system. So I would like to answer that question because currently I am involved in some periodic review
hmm,
activities with my current assignment. So I can tell you the basic criteria. So the basic criteria
না
is,
জল বলিনি
first you have to answer it. What is periodic review? Why you
কোথায়
are doing
বললো আমাকে
periodic review? The periodic review is basically a maintenance
না
activity
বলনি
to confirm that your systems
বলনি
are
বলো
into
কোথার থেকে
right
এনেছি সেটা
state of validation, or does it require some kind of
ওটা না
validation, and
আমি কি
to figure out if there are any
বলেছি দিতে
changes in the system,
রাখ
to what criticality level those particular systems were, and the changes which were made in that particular system are how much critical. Do you have to revalidate your system or not? So this is one of the criteria. Second criteria can be regulatory compliance. Is some regulatory compliance
না কামড়াচ্ছ তো
requirements has changed? So there might be changing of 21 CFR Part 11
আমাকে
compliance. There might
বলবে
be
তো আমি
next year there were
শুনতেই
new
পাইনি
requirements
শুনিনি
which
নাহলে
might be
ওকে কালকে
coming.
বলে দিতাম
Masking of
এখন বলবে
some
দাও দাও
data
এখন
which might be
সেকেন্ড
coming.
হাফে
Like
ফার্স্ট হাফ বলবে
recently we
আমি
got
বলবো
revised
দিতে হবে না আমার
GDPR laws, like your sensitive and non-sensitive data. Your sensitive data should be hidden from the entire world, and you have to be very critical about your sensitive data. So if your system was previous and
হ্যালো
then you have to comply to this particular norm,
বলছি
then
স্যান্ডিদা
your periodic
জল
review
দিয়ে
will
যাও না
tell you that this is a new system which is
শাগনিক
coming
বলছি
up, or new regulation which is coming up. You will have to comply. That is the reason
অন্য কেউ আছে
that becomes your one of the criteria for doing periodic review. Like that, there can be
লাগতো
system performance, there
তুমি
can be
আমাকে
change
কোথায় ফোন করলে
management which might be coming,
না
there might be
করোনি কোনো ফোন
security systems or security policies which are upgraded in your own organization. That can
সকাল অব্দি
be
তো
one of the
চলবে না গো, মনে
criteria.
হচ্ছে
Vendor
যা
has changed, or there are
মনে
any
হচ্ছে তাই লাস্ট যার
operational
আছে তুমি ফোন
performance
করোনি
issues
কেন
of the
আমাকে বলতে
system.
পারতে কালকে
So these are some of the criteria where which you can fix for doing your periodic reviews.
আচ্ছা ঠিক
okay.
আছে
That's great.
দেখছি
One question is also from
বলছে
Bhagat.
তারকেশ্বর বেরিয়ে
So
গেছি আমি
Jimit,
তো কালকে
I would
সবাইকে
like
ফোন
to
করেছিলাম যাদের যাদের
question
যার লাগবে
that
আমি দিয়ে
particular question
গেছিলাম
to you.
কালকে
Any
আমি
courses
সবাইকে আমার কোথায় আমাকে
related
ফোন
to cloud
করেছিলেন
validation? One last question
কি
that's
করবো তাহলে
we are taking right now.
Sure.
খালি
So
খালিও দেয়
currently, if you want to
বললো না কেউ তো নেই
subscribe, right,
আলাদা
go on to an online subscription training. There is this ECA Academy, which is based in Europe, which actually
কত
gives
ভাটায়
these certifications. Then I
3000
guess
খরচা করে
Viva, right, a company
45টা
which
মাত্র
Ajay
রেজিস্ট্রেশন
mentioned earlier, they also have a subscription-based learning management platform. I saw a few trainings on cloud validation over there. When it comes to live trainings, I believe there are many individual SMEs in the industry which continuously give live trainings. Like 2 months back, there was a training which was given by Sachin Bhandari on cloud validation. How do you actually validate into a cloud? And it's still, I guess, available on his LinkedIn profile, right? So you can still buy that recording. I believe I had a chat with the skillZmap team, and I guess they are also planning to create a live training over here where
Right.
someone would be actually delivering this session. So these are some of the organizations which would actually be giving these trainings on
Correct.
cloud
Correct. Correct.
validation. Mhm.
So the courses is about to start, and we'll request each and every one of you to just mention your contact number over there, so that we can update you regarding the classes, the certification courses. And even though we don't want to leave you out of this particular session with any kind of question, so it might be possible you are not really very comfortable asking your questions over here. So what you can do, you can just mention your contact number, and we will be providing a contact number, so that you can just drop a text over WhatsApp or contact any one of us if you want, and raise your questions, and then we will be able to help you out with the courses and the missions that we are planning to do, and how you can get those particular certification courses. And so that will be most important thing. Secondly, we have mentioned multiple YouTube channels link and Instagram link, Facebook link, so you can join us from there also. You can subscribe our channel for the latest updates, and any other things you want to add, then you can just scan this particular application's QR code, and download those particular applications. You will be updated with the new courses link and all. And secondly, you can, if you have any kind of specific queries or related to anything, so you can just drop us a inquiry mail or something over this email ID. So you can just save this particular, uh, or you can take the screenshot if you want. Okay. And really very thankful for.
Alina,
Hmm,
Alina from
hmm,
Next Aspiration, uh,
hmm.
Dr. Animesh has asked one question related to BTech Biomedical Engineering prospect. So could you please light on that?
No, I cannot find that particular thing. Can you help me with that?
Sure.
Yes, I got it. So, Animesh, Dr. Animesh has asked that on behalf of every student, they are doing BTech, biomedical engineering. So, what will be their scope if they are pursuing their graduation right now? Uh, Ajay, can you help me with this question?
Yeah, see, the course itself or the degree itself says as biomedical engineering. So you are going to deal with bio, that is life, along with engineering. Okay, so there is both aspects will come. You will develop some drugs which are, biomedically available into the market, which are going to be available into the market. So you will develop some processes, you will develop some systems around that, as well as uh, if there are any software which you are going to develop to find out the preventive diseases or system. So these both aspects will definitely lead you these particular computer system validation courses.
Okay, I think the question is answered now. But I'll request each and every one of you, if you are having or if you have missed any of the point, because some of the participants were asking about the pointers, that can you please repeat that particular point. So we'll be uploading a recorded session or recorded sessions and recordings of upcoming updates. So you can just subscribe our YouTube channel, and if you're not able to get that particular link, you can just scan this particular QR code. I think you can get each and every social media details from here also. Okay, and I'm sharing it in the chat box again, so you can go with that. And again, I'm asking you to mention your contact number and contact details for any other thing. Okay. Yes, so you can go in the chat box and join those particular links. So yes, that's an end from my end. Thank you, Jimit and Ajay, for those particular most important pointers that students